Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Ba 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 da da ba. Good morning. Good morning to you and you and you and you. Boop. So hey, good morning. I feel like I just was on a YouTube live and then went to bed and I'm up here. Good morning. There we go. Who doesn't love a chapstick? Or here for my Gen Xers. Doesn't this look like a Bonnie Bell lip smacker? I love it. That's one of the reasons my friend gave it to me. So good morning. Good morning, Monk Monk. Nice to see you. I raised my glass, my extra large mug, because I'm doing a 2 for Thursday here. Not two for Tuesday. Double shot Thursday maybe, like WAAF in Worcester. I've got this YouTube. No, where are we now? TikTok live now, and then immediately after this, I go to do a YouTube live. So, I got my extra big mug of water, and I've got my glass of water. Hydrating, people. Do you have your glass of water? Good morning. Yes, okay. I believe I unlocked a core memory from Allure Interiors, Bonnie Bell. Yeah. Good morning, Abbott Elementary. Nice to see you. So what do we got going on here? Let me wake up and we'll join the world together. Erin, hi. Here, I've got my extra large, by accident ordered extra large mug here that I raised to you. Let me swirl it around with my little teaspoon. Tink, tink, tink. And yay, spreading sunshine. Could you spread some sunshine over here? It has been rainy all week and it will continue to do so. So hey, I am turning the page. Turn the page. No, wait, that's today. I'm on the total wrong page. Wait, Wednesday, May 14th. Oh, that's weird. Okay, there we go. Thursday, May 15th. Thursday, May 15th. I literally said do shots, okay? I literally said do shots, okay? So here's what I mean by that. This was kind of fun. Okay. Oh, dogs and cats are fighting, huh? Laura Gibbon Voorhees, trying to get into a better headspace. Hopefully spending time here with me and this other cool crew, and doing some shots, okay? So this was really fun yesterday, and people said they liked it, and I think it's kind of a novelty. So let's do this. Leslie's ready to play the water game. Okay, so here's what we do. When I say we're doing shots, this was wicked funny. It kind of came up organically yesterday. But I was talking about one of the things you can do to make yourself feel better, both physically and mentally, is that concept of all the downs, slowing down, chunking down. And one of the downs that will help you feel better physically is also drinking down some water, slowing down so you can drink a sip of water. Because a sip is just, you're not going to guzzle it. You're not going to chug, chug, chug. No, you're going to do a shot. And what I thought was, you know how sometimes you do a thing where somebody says a word often and every time they do it, you take a shot. Well, we'll do the same thing this morning, but we're going to here are the rules of the game if you want to play along. First of all, get yourself just a glass of water, even though it's plastic, I call it a glass, and fill it as much as you want. This is very casual. But here's the fun part, is you know me, and if you don't know me, again, everybody, my name is Beth. I'm a decluttering life coach, and my coaching is called Destination Decluttered. And what we're going to do is I show up and I help people with clutter and I help people kind of with life coachy issues and I intertwine the two and I do some pop culture things and I'll sing some songs. But I tend to fall back on a solid kind of framework, a structure of stuff to do that make you feel better. And since I'm falling back on it, I tend to use many words over and over again. So pick out a word that you think I use often. You can put it in the comments or you can just keep it to your head. And then listen to what I say. And anytime I say the word that you chose, take a shot. Take a sip of water. Water will help you feel better. You will dilute all the toxins. It will help you pee more. And if I say a word so often, and shit, often could be your word. And I've said it 3 times already, and I've noticed I do pronounce the T. You may need to go to the bathroom at some point during this hour-long TikTok live. That's cool. You're in your own house. You can do whatever you want. Okay? Thank you. Yeah, damn it, Donna. I thought it was wicked smart. So have some fun with it. I may play along with myself as well. There we go. I love it. Therapy Gal Sue is rising a bit earlier today to get on a few to-do items that I'd usually put off. There we go. Oh, interested. If you're dehydrated, pick okay. Yeah, that's one of my kind of pausey, transition-y things. I notice that when I have done TikTok videos and then put the comments, not the comments, the captions on them, I notice what I say. And used to be one, still is. But you know what? I'm a person. I'm not a professional speaker. I just speak from the heart. And if I say certain words over again, I'm okay with that. Hey, Picky and fellow clutterers. I love it. Alrighty. So, the funny thing is, when I was waking up this morning, and I will share with you, earlier this week I had a cold, and then yesterday I got a migraine, and then I woke up at 4:30 this morning, and here was something kind of fascinating, was when you're asleep, you don't feel pain. There's something magical that happens when you're sleeping. And I noticed this because as I kind of emerged from sleep, and sometimes I feel like when I am waking up from sleep, I don't know if you feel this way, but I sometimes feel as if I'm almost submerged, like when you're submerged in water and you're kind of heavy. And then as you start to wake up, notice we even say wake up, that you start to kind of float to the top. And as you start to float into awakeness, sometimes pain will appear. Now I noticed, I was like, and I even said, oh shit, I've got a headache, shoulder, whatever. Here's something I did that I think might be helpful to you, is there is a space between knowing what you have to do, want to do, should do, the realization of something, and then there may be a gap between when you realize it and then when you do it, when you think of it and then when you actually do the thing. And one of the things I am trying to get better at is when I think of something that will improve my life, to decrease the amount of time between when I realize it, when I think of it, and then when I kind of implement it. Now, I don't want to say that all of a sudden you jump up and you start running around. Like, I want you to have a plan. But in this specific instance, what I want to say is if you're not feeling good, shorten up the amount of time between realizing that and doing something about it. So maybe right now you do some neck rolls, maybe right now you go already to the bathroom. Maybe right now you eat something. Maybe, if maybe is your word, you're going to be doing some shots of water. You drink some water. But notice that shortening the time between the thought and the action and doing that thing and using that time to make a plan can really set you up for feeling better sooner. I have done this before where I've been in bed. I don't want to get out of bed. It's cold. I don't want to go into the kitchen and get the headache medicine. But when I do get up and I do shorten the amount of time between not feeling good and doing something about it, it just makes feeling better come a lot sooner. So, word to your mother, right? This is what I learned today. So at 4:30 this morning, I got up and I took a migraine pill. I feel better now and I got some sleep. So, hope that helps. Let's wrap that into decluttering, okay? Painting of a Duck says it does help and nice to see you. So think about this. When you have an idea of something that will help you feel better, what I don't want you to think this is for you to immediately drop everything and start doing the thing. No. As my husband would say, like Bugs Bunny, no. What I want you to do is even just write it down. Now, it wouldn't have helped me to write it down to take my medicine. But for example, with decluttering, and nice to see you, Coffee and Chaos. Don't leap out of bed and immediately try to do all the decluttering. Make a plan for it. Making a plan will increase the likelihood that you'll do it in a way that feels good. Like, for example, Therapy Gal Sue, said she has a plan, and so she woke up early, and she got up early out of bed to do some stuff that she has been delaying. Now, I'll say this to Sue. Sue, I'm here for you. So if there's anything you thought, all I need to do is get up early and then I'll do the thing, and for whatever reason, the getting up early isn't still getting you to do the thing, throw something in the comments where you're stuck and I can help you. Kind of like if we were on one of the declutter parties, of which we have one coming up on Saturday. And it's crazy. Today is Thursday. Day after tomorrow is Saturday. Writing something down, getting it out of your head and down onto paper. You know, the person who built, I've been watching bits and pieces of the Gilded Age on TikTok, frankly, and they're talking about how Mrs. Roebling was really the mastermind behind the bridge and all. Mrs. Roebling didn't jump up out of bed and start going down and driving to where the bridge is and just starting to build it. No, I bet Mrs. Roebling had an idea and jumped out of bed and wrote it down, and then wrote down some other ideas and made a plan that made sense with the amount of time she had and the energy she had. Okay, Linda McLaughlin, or which is how I would pronounce your name. I hope that's how you pronounce it too. Paperwork, and if not, I apologize. Paperwork stacks are tough for me. Okay, paperwork can be a challenge for a lot of people. It used to be for me too, and now I see it. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see it so much more clearly and simply. So let me help you with this. Everybody, Linda, everybody, paperwork-wise, I want you to think of this. Paperwork is proof. What does the paperwork prove? I want you to just think of that. Why am I saving paperwork? I am saving it because it proves something. So I want you to just think of that vague concept, okay? That idea of why am I saving this? It proves something. What does it prove? But I also want you to think of one of the ways that you can overcome the overwhelm. And this is another thing we talked about. We talked about doing shots yesterday. And the other thing that really helped that I shared on last night's YouTube live was the idea of breaking the spell. You have I put a spell on you. Was that Screamin' Jay Hawkins? You have put a spell on yourself. You have said, and where is it? Right here. Boopity boop. Paperwork stacks are hard. Paperwork stacks are hard. You have told yourself something that you believe to be true. You've fallen under the spell of the phrase, paperwork stacks are tough for me. Okay? I'm here to make it easy. And I want you to think of this. I want you to break the spell by putting your hand on the area that is the troubling part the most. Putting your hand on the stack of paper reminds you, breaks the spell. It breaks it apart, and I mean it breaks it into a whole bunch of little pieces. Breaks it apart. It shatters it like, something in a movie. And what it does is it takes paperwork as one word, and it reminds you that paperwork, a stack of paperwork, is just made up of a bunch of single sheets of paper. So it's not one big thing, it's a whole bunch of little things. Okay? Break the spell. What spell have you cast on your own self? What are you believing that's got you paralyzed? You have put a paralyzation spell on yourself. It's tough for me to do it, so I don't even try. So, Linda, I'm going to bet you, and I wish I feel like I should have do I have a ream of paper in here? No. Imagine, we all know what a ream of paper is, the kind that comes in the box and you buy, a ream. And that's a unit of measure. It's probably got 500 pages in it. 500 pieces of paper still only takes up about 2.5 to 3 inches by 8.5 by 11, right? So it doesn't take up a lot of space, but it can feel difficult. So what I want you to think of is chunking it down. Now, chunk and down. Down is going to be a word that if you're playing drink water along, sing along with Mitch, if you picked a word down for your hydration word, you're going to be plenty hydrated before 10 o'clock today. So awesome. Chunking it down. So putting your hand on the thing, breaking the spell and realizing it's not just one solid object, but it's a whole bunch of little things. And then when you chunk it down, Linda and everybody, I want you to think of chunk and I want you to think of category. I want you to think of like items, pattern matching, chunk into categories. So again, you don't have to. Linda mentioned paperwork stacks. Okay. I betcha if any of us even think of a stack of paperwork that we haven't been working on, I know that your brain knows that there's some stuff in that you're dreading. So what are 3 categories of paperwork in that stack? Now, you can put it in the comments or you can just play along at home. As I said, sing along with Mitch. Lorraine gets it. I know for me, a stack of paperwork would probably have the following. Well, I've got it. It's not stacked. It's kind of spread out. I have a category of junk mail that I received in the mailbox outside the house that I want to call up and get people off of my mailing list. That's a category for me. I have my category of kind of catching up on my, documentation of yesterday, which would be making sure that I fill in my good stuff from yesterday, filling in my habit tracker, because I did pretty well yesterday. I'm psyched about that. So that would be that stuff. And then another one would be aligning my schedules with my one-on-one clients, the paperwork that represents that type of thing. So I have 3 categories, even right here, even if it's spread out. What are your categories? Now, for regular folks, for everyday people, okay, I love it. Matisha, I'm trying to pronounce your name. I hope I'm doing kind of a good job. Cards. Okay. Cards and my daughter's schoolwork when she was little. She's 28 years now. Okay, thank you. Cards is one category. My daughter's schoolwork when she was little. She's 28 now. So let's just back up for a minute too to realize that the stuff that you're struggling with, kind of that's made of paper, is actually also part of a category of clutter. Okay? Category of clutter. There are 3 categories of clutter that you can kind of make a pile. We'll start with the easiest. Imagine you're in a swimming pool, and we're going to go from the shallow end to the deep end. The shallow end is the surface clutter. The medium end of the pool, where you're kind of getting near your head and your toes are there and you're about to float and get deeper where you need to definitely know how to swim. You've got surface, then you've got you've got surface, then stored, because it's behind doors and drawers, and then you've got sentimental. Now I bring up these 3 categories because Matiga is starting in the deep end. You're starting with the hardest one, the one that people are challenged the most. So if you are challenged with that, welcome to the deep end. Welcome to the deep end of the pool. But if you don't know how to swim with the shallow end, it may feel even more difficult. You're kind of flailing around and paddling and trying to keep your head above water. That's okay. I can teach you about this. So here's something really fun. Paperwork is proof, as I said earlier. So let's even just take my daughter's schoolwork when she was little. So you kept that from when she was little until she's 28. I'm assuming saving her paperwork from when she was 20 to 28 is kind of decreased. But you have her paperwork. Ask yourself why you saved it. What does it prove to you? I give you a chance to answer. For me, it might prove that I was paying attention to you. I noticed what you did, and I thought what you did was important enough to save it. Now, that comes from a person of a Gen X persuasion whose mother saved a few things, but did not save everything, and definitely threw away 90% of my stuff. So I know that there is a generation of current parents who maybe felt the same way, and they said, I didn't like how that happened to me. I'm going to do something different. So what I would do is I'd get curious about why you saved it. And also in the who, what, when, where, why of questioning things, who did you save it for? Now, if you saved something for yourself, then it's your collection. But I have a sneaky feeling that you may have saved your children's paperwork. And this isn't just Matiga and her daughter. This is anybody who has ever saved a child's paperwork or stuff, if you have children. That you have saved it for them because you remember what it was like to grow up without having it. Okay, and you remember when she was little and how talented she was even at 3, mostly artwork. This is something I think is so freaking cool when you people do that. And I say you people, and I just mean that in the fact that I do not have children. So I have not saved that kind of thing. I save those things for myself to remind me of how talented I was when I was 55 or 43 or 27. I save that stuff for myself now, but I don't save it for anybody else. Lorraine saved it for all of her sons. You guys with people with children of an adult age now that you have saved their kids' stuff. I think this would be a cool idea. All right? And I think it would be really fun for you to get that stuff together and go through it with that person. Walk down memory lane together. Say to your daughter, hey, I saved a bunch of this stuff when you were growing up. Now, I'm not just going to dump it on you, but why don't we go? I would love it if you would come over to my house, or I could bring it over to your house. And before either of us decides whether we want to keep it or not, let's walk through this, because I have a memory of when you came home from school and you were so proud of this drawing you did, and we put it on the fridge. What are your memories of that drawing? What are your memories that these sentimental items, what are the stories? Because sentimental often equals a story. Yeah. And have a great idea. You know? Now, I love this. Picky says she saved her daughter's art. She asked for it, and now she's a tattoo artist. How freaking cool is that? You know? Once the story is disconnected from the item, you have more options to do it. You know? I know Mother's Day just passed, but every day can be Mother's Day, right? You can say, hey, this is something that would have been fun to do on Mother's Day, but we didn't. But when can you come over? I would love to go through this together. Not I've got this stuff and I'm going to dump it on you, and then you're going to be like, no, I don't want it. Let's go through it together and then together decide whether you want the paper, or maybe I'll just take a picture, or we're both okay with putting it in the trash. You know, somebody else's stuff. You get them involved. Now, I love this. Kimmy says, Kimmy with one M, says, I took pictures of all the artwork and then gave it to my kids to do what they want with it. So you saved pictures, and once you had a picture of the pictures, it made it easier for you to release the physical object. You know, I love it. Going through it with them. Now, the neat thing is, and let me pause for effect because I want to take my tea bag out of my teacup so it doesn't get too whatever. That same thing that you're doing with somebody else, smash that together and think about the stuff that you've saved for yourself. Now, this can apply to surface, stored, or sentimental. Okay? Surface, stored, or sentimental. Pretend you're with somebody else, and you are. You're with your inner self. Yourself, 2 words. And I want you to go through your own stuff saying, hey, I saved this. I saved this because, and tell yourself the story of why you have that object. And then ask your current self, your past self, who literally is yourself from 8 a.m. this morning prior, or excuse me, 9 a.m. because I'm an hour off here. 9 a.m., 9:23 you and earlier is the past version of yourself. Ask your past version, today you, ask present you, ask past you why you kept this. Not with judgment, with curiosity. And then listen for the answer. Listen for the answer, and then both of you decide, past you and present you, does this make sense to keep for present me and future me? have that conversation you'd have with somebody else about the stuff you kept for them. Have that exact conversation with yourself and listen for your answers with interest and patience and attention that you would give to the person, the external real person that you would have that conversation with, you know? Now, I love this. Wanderlust Girl says, I have a big binder with clear sheets of their drawings and schoolwork and put it on a bookshelf to see. I love that idea. Okie Teacher, hey, I have one 3-ring binder for each kid full of their art, and I gave it to them. They love it. Now, here's something I want to riff on. For any of you who have kids and you're thinking that some of these are good ideas, and you might want to start this yourself, I want to throw my idea into the mix, okay? I want to throw my hat into the ring. Because one of my theories as to why we are cluttered people at whatever age we are, and I love this, Leslie says, for the first 20 minutes of this live, I'm sorting through photo albums and pruning. Love it. Pruning, cutting away what you don't want, decluttering your rose bushes. What I want to offer with the concept of saving stuff for somebody else is this. Get them involved with it. Let me back up. One of my concepts, one of my thoughts, my premises of why many of us are cluttered is because somebody made a decision for us without giving us a voice in it of what was getting thrown away of ours back in the day. So we did not have a say in what was kept or what was let go of. We also were not taught how to declutter with our head and our heart. So we don't have the skills and we resent what happened in the past. So we tend to collect things for other people because we remember how it didn't feel. So what I offer is let's break that cycle. So if you have kids and you have this idea of I want to save their things, get them involved right now. Because notice what's happening to some people too. Yvonne has done this, and she says, my kids will probably throw half of what I have saved for them. You've got 5 kids. But if you start now, like I'm imagining, who was it? I'm going to scroll down here. Wanderlust Girl has a big binder with clear sheets of their drawings and schoolwork. How about when they come home from school with their schoolwork or their artwork, part of what you guys do and make a connection is you sit down and look at it, and then they get to decide. You have a moment where they show it to you. Oh, that's so great. You got an A, or you got a check plus plus, or you got a sticker. I remember they used to put stickers. There was the ones that you used to like lick from Dennison, and then they got all fancy, and they were just the peel and stick kind. So you go through it with them together, and then they get to decide what is kept of their stuff or not, and you support their decision regardless of what it is. That is my idea. I would love to imagine coming back as a kid, coming back from school with the stuff that I'm proud of, and sitting down with my mom and showing her it and telling the stories and her listening to me, and then deciding whether I wanted to keep it or not. And if I was unsure, we would err on the side of keeping it, and then I could decide that later. So what I mean by this is getting people involved and getting them used to, in a really low level, young age, the thought process behind decluttering, behind saving stuff and letting it go, and the space between when you get it and when you let go of it. Leslie's even saying you don't need every certificate, etc. from 2nd grade. Now I've done this with myself. In my adult life, I've gotten certificates, I've gotten awards, I've gotten, certificates of completion or whatever it is. Do I really need that right now? At the time it seemed important, but now years have passed. Do I need that now? Not so much. So notice that you can get them involved. Now, Lorraine has saved greeting cards from others. I've done that myself. I still continue to do it. I get far fewer greeting cards now than ever. So I don't mind saving those cards. Sometimes, though, I save them, and I have a collection of greeting cards I have saved from people who are no longer here. I like looking at their handwriting. I like reading what they said to me. So decluttering is not getting rid of the good stuff. Decluttering is giving you the opportunity to sort through your things and remind yourself of what's still really important to you. Ooh, I see this. I love this. Lorraine said, and I didn't even read this when I said I like seeing their signatures. She says, so I cut out their signature and threw out the card part. You know, that could be somebody's hydration trigger word. Okay, could be one too. To me, I like seeing the card. So notice that everybody has their own way of dealing things. Now, Picky says, thankfully, my adult kids are better at getting rid of stuff than me, and I will offer this to you. As somebody who is a child of somebody who has more clutter than me, maybe they are better at getting rid of stuff because you struggle with clutter. And I don't mean that in a judgy way, but I know what it's like to feel like to grow up in a cluttered home. I don't like the feeling of not knowing where stuff is. Waking up and realizing there's no clean clothes to wear to school, so I have to dig out something that's dirty and wear it to school. I know what it's like to run around at the last minute because you can't find the scissors or the tape or the permission slip, and to just have too much visual clutter that's overwhelming. So I can see things kind of like Joni Mitchell from both sides now. I see it as a person who has been cluttered. I see it as a person growing up in a cluttered home, but I also see it, as my mom, who also grew up in a cluttered home, who didn't have the skills of decluttering, who, like many people in my family, struggles with ADHD. So notice that we are all a product of where we grew up, and learn from it, and you can do different things. So Faith says, the clutter overwhelmed me. I don't want to spend time looking for stuff. Yeah, notice that feeling of overwhelm. And for many people, we mostly think of overwhelm as a bad feeling, a not good feeling, a kind of paralyzed feeling, as we said. Breaking the spell of overwhelm. Overwhelm is too much, too big. Think of when you're overwhelmed. I was thinking just right now about how I said overwhelm tends to be a bad feeling. But sometimes it could be, well, I am overwhelmed with all these wonderful options, like going to a buffet. You can be overwhelmed with good stuff and still the overwhelm is too much. Okay? So, my nose is itchy. So being overwhelmed can be a not good feeling. You can break the spell of overwhelm by putting your hand on it, even putting your hand out and saying, all this big stuff I'm overwhelmed with is only a whole bunch of little things put together. And once you break the spell, you can focus down on each little section. Think of it like a buffet. And most suckers are starving to death. But even the buffet, it can be overwhelming, but then you notice, here's the breakfast stuff, here's the lunch stuff, here's the dinner stuff, here's the dessert stuff, here's the drinks, here's the cutlery. You can chunk it down, and even when you get to breakfast, here's all the egg things, here's all the meat things, here's all the bread things, here's the sweet things. Chunking it down is going to be the savior. It's going to help you feel less overwhelmed, because when you chunk down, you're also literally, usually, mostly looking down and focusing down. You're not looking up and out, you're looking down and in. And when you look down and chunk it down, when you have your blinders on, you're not looking at the whole buffet, you're just seeing what's in front of you. It's easier to make decisions on smaller amounts of things. Okay? So, if you're feeling overwhelmed and your clutter is overwhelming you, instead of looking up at all of it, look down at some of it. So, Faith, I love that you say you have RA, so I want everything in order. Notice the difference between chaos and overwhelm and clutter and everything in order. What does in order mean? It means one thing after another, or knowing where to find the important stuff. Now, yeah, we're all dying, some of us sooner than others. As your health declines, it will be more difficult. As your physical body doesn't move as easily, it doesn't feel as good, things will be difficult. So I highly recommend starting your decluttering sooner rather than later. Now, Picky says, my mom wasn't cluttered. Maybe it's genetics from my dad. Yvonne says, I believe that because my mom is not, but my dad's siblings all were. I don't think it's genetic, truly. I think there may be a predisposition. I think it is, let me think. What do I think? I think that it is a learned behavior, but there may be some internal way you're wired. Because some of us are wired to see patterns. Some of us are wired to hear stories about things. Some of us get kind of focused on things and start to collect things and love to get kind of deeper into things. Collectors. And also, some of us get easily overwhelmed. So that's why we may have clutter all around, because we don't know how to process it. But I truly believe when you learn how you are wired, and find out what works for you, that you can, even if you've never been decluttered before in your life, you can learn the skills. It is a skill to learn to declutter. And decluttering and learning it in a way that resonates with how you are, so it's sustainable. Okay? Hey, this is cool. Okie Teacher says, I got my flowers planted last night during the live, because we did a YouTube live yesterday. I am enjoying coffee on the patio this morning, and the flowers look so pretty. Are you using your time to plant flowers, or are you using your time to spin your wheels? You can take your time. You have time in your life to do stuff. What are you spending your time on? Somebody said consumerism up there. Man, does consumerism definitely play a part in why we are cluttered in this world. Okay, flamenco. Oops, sorry, things get backy uppy here. I struggle figuring out. You have told yourself, I struggle. It is a struggle to figure out what might come in handy and what to get rid of. That is a very general term, and you're not alone. Many people think this way. A wicked lot of people say that. I don't know if I might need it someday, is like the catchphrase. So have a conversation with yourself. But again, don't look at everything like that. Focus down and get specific. What is one item that you have saved because it might come in handy someday? And ask yourself, when is the last time I used this item? If it was yesterday you used it, you might consider keeping it. If it was 6 months ago, you might get curious. If it was a year ago, you might get even more curious. If it's been years since you used that thing, it means that years ago, past you said, you can't get rid of that. You might need it someday. Well, pretend today is someday. Are you going to use it today? Now, if you're not going to use it today, but you've saved it for years, make a plan to use the item. And if you still don't use it, you can probably feel safe or safer to let it go now. But notice what you need to do. It's each item kind of individually, or maybe a group of items. Breaking apart the, I don't know what to do with all of this. Well, all of this is really a whole bunch, a lot of things. So break the spell of all into chunks. Chunk it down. All right? Picky went through the blankets. Now I don't know how many to keep. Dog blankets too. How to decide. I would do this. How many beds do you have in your house? How many beds do you need? If you are keeping blankets, you have enough blankets for your own bed. What if you had people staying over? How many places could people stay? How many blankets do you need for those? So it could be like kind of just a numbers thing. Bed blankets equal number of beds or places people could stay. But also, what are your favorite blankets? Do you love them all? Are they your favorite blankets? I have had blankets that I like better than others. I'm like Linus that way. What are your favorites? Favorites to not so favorites is also some categories. So notice we're chunking it down. We're getting specific about things. We're putting these abstract concepts. What if I need all those blankets someday? Okay, let's create a scenario where I might need them. This weekend, suddenly, unexpectedly, I have people coming over the house and they're going to stay over. Do I have enough blankets for the amount of space that I have that people could be staying at my house? If I have just enough, maybe I feel better about the amount I have. I feel safe that if somebody unexpectedly stayed at my house, I would be able to cover them with a blanket. But let's say I don't. Maybe I got rid of some blankets and then suddenly a group of people are like, can we stay at your house? Now, this has happened to us before because I'm married to a musician and we've had musicians crash at our house. The interesting thing, though, is that happens far less frequently than it used to do in the past. So for quite a while, I used to save more bedding than necessary for us on the off chance that a band was going to crash at our house. Things are different now. It doesn't happen so much. So I literally have right here, I hope I don't drop my thing. See right here, this bunch of crap here? This is from my basement because we're getting the basement worked on. But these bags right here have the bedding that we don't currently use. It's there in case somebody stays over. I feel okay with the quality and quantity of what I have and for the just in case. But we have used it within the past 6 months or so because we occasionally have somebody crash on the couch, like somebody work, that type of thing. So, yeah. All right, in the Latina homestead, my parents were somewhat hoarders, so why is it that I hate a cluttered house? I can't stand a mess? Because you grew up in a cluttered home and you don't like the feeling. At least that's how I am. I grew up in a cluttered home. I couldn't find anything. It was chaotic. It was frustrating. There was a lot of stress because you couldn't find anything. I was embarrassed to bring friends over. Yeah, that's why I don't like a cluttered house. I do keep stuff, but I know where it is. It's put away, and I know where to find it. Yeah, it's in my blood, right? It could be in your blood, but you can get a transfusion. All right? Now, Mary Louise Rivera says, in my case, I don't like unexpected guests in my house because of the clutter. Yeah, notice, your clutter is stopping you from welcoming in unexpected guests. Clutter really affects all areas of your life. It really does. It really does. Alrighty, I'm just going to go through some of this stuff. All right, Gigi Gina says sentimental. Faith says, yes, I throw out more every time I have a flare. And there isn't much here. I feel best in a clear space. I think many of us do. I think that's why, honestly, I have so many followers on TikTok and one-on-one clients, because we are realizing we thought that getting a lot of stuff into our house, we want all the toys, we want to give ourselves all the things we didn't get as growing up. There's such an abundance. I deserve it. I have the money. All of these things, we think more, if a little bit feels good, then by some twisted thing, we are told that more is better. No. We realize then, no crap, more isn't better. More can sometimes feel a different way of worse. It's like eating too much bacon or food of your choice. You think, oh man, this is good. I could do this forever. This feels good. I'm going to eat it. And all of a sudden you're like, I don't feel so good. Okay. Now, I love it. Leslie is going to do what we talked about last night, which is this 20 minutes, I'm going to do what you suggested last night. The next step in the process. So think about this. I'm shifting gears here, but it's a good idea to think of. If you are stuck with something, just ask yourself what the very first step is. Nothing else past that. What's the next step to get started? And we talked about a lot of the things that have to do with surface clutter in your house. And surface clutter affects how you feel. And also when you have surfaces cluttered, it's harder to go through the stuff that you have stored because you don't have anywhere to spread it out. So put one foot in front of the other. What's the next step? This morning when I got ready, I was waiting for my tea kettle to warm up, and I took clothing that had been drying on a rack, and the next step was to put it into the dryer to fluff it up. Mailing a bill, putting the stamp on the bill, sealing the envelope. Okay. Tanya says, what about a brand new Ace bandage from hospital 2 years ago? Aha! It's not brand new. It's brand old. It is unopened, but it is not brand new. So if you don't need it, I might need it someday. Well, you haven't needed it in 2 years. And here's something that I got off of somebody else from the internet. Could you get a new one? Could you, if and when you need an ACE bandage, would it cost you less than $10 or 20 minutes to get a new ACE bandage? Now, an ACE bandage is a wonderful example too, at least if they're the ones I'm thinking of, because when you save things, they age. Much like my skin, the elasticity in your ACE bandage is probably different than it was 2 years ago. So even when you have saved it, it may not work the way you wanted it to. So if you need it someday, you deserve you deserve an ACE bandage that has the right flexibility. The next time you need a bandage, who knows? Technology may have improved. That ACE bandages from 2 years ago could be rendered obsolete, and there's a magical new way for you to bandage yourself up that would be so much better than using a 2-year-old ACE bandage. Now, if it is unopened and you still think it has some life in it, donate it to some place that might need it and use it quickly. So just notice the age of the things that you are saving, because some things will, everything's going to decompose. Everything that you own right now is in the process of decomposing, including your own physical body. Now, so Allure Interior says, I know I have too much extra bedding and definitely too many towels. Okay, so you have that awareness. I know something. My question will be, lovingly, what are you going to do with that awareness? Are you going to keep the stuff, or are you going to go through it and maybe cull out some ones that you don't like? So instead of having too much, you get more towards what I call, and Goldilocks would call, just right. Okay? So notice that. Now this is cool. Painting of a Duck says, cluttered or not, I honestly don't like having company. Notice that. You don't have to have company. You do not have to open your door to anybody that you don't want to. But notice when you do have company, clutter makes it a lot worse. So how about when you do the clutter, on the off chance you have to have company, at least you won't feel worse. Okay, so Rose says, so much, again, overwhelm, so much I want to sell because I know there's value, but I can't start to part with it. So don't start with all of it. Start with some of it. Rose, go around your house today and look at all the things that you have identified as, I want to sell that because it might be worth some money. Notice I'm using the air quotes. You have told yourself, I'm going to sell that, it's worth some money. I want you to go through and pick out the one thing that you think is going to give you the biggest bang for your buck, the biggest money. And I want you to look up that item on eBay, and I want you to see the last 6 months, how much people have paid for that item. Bring those ideas into reality and test them out. How much money will you get for that item? And based on that number, that may help you decide, ooh, I should sell this. It's worth a wicked lot. Or, oh, the bottom has fallen out of that market. You know? Abbott Elementary is saying, how many pairs of socks is reasonable? I have no idea how many pairs of socks I have. So to me, it's not a number, but it is math. It is that I have enough socks that every time I need a fresh pair of socks, I can reach into my drawer and grab a fresh pair of socks that feels comfortable on my body, on my feet. It also is a math problem because it is going to be a what do you call that when we used to do like math and you did like volume? It's like 3D math. It's not just numbers math. It's 3D. Is how many socks easily fit into the drawer, the space I have assigned for them, so I can easily open the drawer, easily find a good pair of socks, and easily close the drawer again. And all of my clean socks, if I were to do that magical rare moment where every single item of clothing of mine is clean and put away and I'm standing there naked in my house, that every single piece of clean clothing could easily fit in its storage. If it doesn't easily fit there, then I get curious about how many ones do I have to cull out until I can easily shut the door. Okay? So notice that. And I love it. So I love also that people were helping out Abbott Elementary as I was talking. Okay? So, Charlotte J says, what do you do when you've inherited all of the things our loved ones had who aren't alive anymore? Ooh, I wasn't an English teacher or an English major, but boy, do I love noticing the words we use. Okay? Because here, what do you do? What do I do? I'll tell you what I do, and then I'll suggest something for you to think of. I asked myself this question, and I'm pointing up here because I have it written down, and I've had it written down there for the last 3 years. I should have had it. What do I want? Out of all of these things that our loved ones had, and they're not here anymore, what of their things do I want? And I look for that category in their things. Now, my dad passed away, it's coming up on 15 years ago. He liked to collect certain things that brought joy to him. 99.9% of the stuff that my dad collected, I have no interest in. Here's I don't want to say a truth bomb. Boom. What I want to say to you is, Charlotte J, 2 things, or probably a lot more. One is, it is okay to not keep all of the things that somebody who is dead owned. It does not mean you don't love the person if you don't want to keep all of their stuff. You are not a bad person for not enjoying the things that other people enjoyed. They enjoyed owning that stuff. They enjoyed collecting it. It really resonated with them. But then it goes back to this question up here. What do you want? Do you want that stuff? And the answer can be no, and that's okay. Just because they're dead, do not let the dead guilt you. If anything, this is how I look at it. This is how I look at it. I look at my dad, and I look at him up in heaven. And when you die, I like to believe that we get self-awareness. We see all the stuff that we just didn't get when we were just humans struggling on the earth. My dad is looking down at me going, oh my God, no, to get rid of that stuff. That was stuff that I had fun with. I know it doesn't mean anything to you. Don't even think about it. Auction it off, give it away, sell it, donate it, whatever, throw it away. That stuff doesn't matter because that stuff is weighing you down. And man, do you have something, this is my dad talking to me, you know what you have right now that I don't have? You have life. And I don't want you to spend one smidge of your life feeling weighed down by inanimate objects on the planet. I want you to feel light and up, that you are running around the world, kicking ass and having fun. Do not weigh yourself down with these objects that I surrounded myself with. So instead of feeling the guilt that you may think that you're feeling guilty, I'm going to be a bad person, but my grandmother loved to collect these bells, but I don't like the bells. What I say is put those bells out into the world where somebody else who's collecting bells now and loves it can go find those bells. Think back fondly on when your dad and you used to go and collect the stuff, or when he had the things. He had fun doing it. You are different. What do you want? I often, when I'm doing my coaching, because I do this, I do one-on-one coaching. I do typically an hour-long TikTok live a day, and because I'm getting back into the TikTok, and also a YouTube live. I will be doing a YouTube live at 10 o'clock. I'm going to be switching gears, okay? What I want to offer to you is, what you want is a really important question to ask yourself. If you are unfamiliar with asking yourself that question, that's okay. Get more familiar with it. What do I want? And then look at where my hands go. They go to my ear to listen, but they go to my heart because this is what I'm listening to. Listen to your heart when he's called. What do I want? I really want that piece of chocolate cake. I do not want that Linzer tort. I really want to say hi to that cute guy. I really want to get away from this creep at the bar. I really want to get the hell out of here and just go home and read a book. I really want to go out tonight. I really want to stay home. What do I want? Now, notice, we are casting spells on ourselves. We are telling ourselves words that we believe in that cause us to slow down or to hold on to things. So break the spell. Break the spell and tell yourself something different. Chunk it down. Now, Michelle's dad, oops, hold on. TikTok is asking me to do a puzzle here. Boopity poop. My dad is 90 today. Awesome. And collected machinery. That's going to be, and then I see ... You know what? If your dad is, much like we talked about earlier today, I love when these things kind of wrap up organically. What I would say is this. Notice how earlier in the call, if you weren't on, we were talking about people going through stuff with little kids, reviewing with them the stuff that they brought home from school and deciding whether they wanted to keep it or not. Do that with your dad. Are you still able to go through those things? Can you go out to the machinery that he collected? Can your dad tell you the stories that are locked up that only he knows about that stuff? You then will have a better idea of what you're going to be left with. Whether it's something truly expensive or something he kept just because he found it on the side of the road. Don't tell yourself, if you tell yourself something's going to be difficult, it will be more difficult. If you tell yourself it's not going to be as bad as I think and it actually could be pretty cool, okay. So if you think it's going to be, if you tell yourself, again, you're casting a spell, it feels like you're giving away a piece of them. They live in your heart. You may have a visual trigger that you say that was owned by that person. But Karen, I want to share with you, those stories live on in your heart. You're giving away an inanimate object. If you think it's something that really reminds you of your person and you want to keep it, by all means, keep it. This is not a get rid of all the sentimental objects place. No way, Jose. What this is just cluing into how many visual reminders do I need to remind me of my person who's no longer here? Am I going to forget them? No. But do I want some things that remind me of my dad? And it's funny because I'm looking up here right now. Do I have something up here? No, but I know I have stuff in outside in our tiki room. I've got an old-timey radio. I've got a little Toby jug that I bought when I was in London that looks like the one that he had when he was a kid. Actually, you know what I have? Here's a funny thing. Literally, this right here. I have this Dedham Institution for Savings ruler. It has my dad's name on the back of it. John Lennon. That was my dad's name. His nickname in, I guess, Pat in high school maybe, was Clem. And I think he was dating a girl named Pat because he put her name there. And he wrote Clem and Pat. He must have had a crush on Pat. I'll have to ask my sister about that. Okay? It is tough doing it. It can be, you know what it is? It's not tough. Tough is like a piece of gristle. You know what it is? It's making you feel feelings. It's making you feel feelings. It's making you feel maybe sad that that person's not around. And also, frankly, probably reminding you of your own inevitable demise. You can do tough things. The neat thing is don't do it in a way that you regret what you did later. What will tomorrow you, what will future you want you to do with that stuff now? So, it isn't always easy, but it's not as bad as you think. Going through the stuff of somebody who's dead reminds you that there were people in the world that loved you. And heck, if it's stuff that's of people that you didn't like, throw it in the dumpster with delight. But just ask yourself, how many things do I need to remind me that I had a dad? What are the ones that I like that fit into my life? Am I going to keep a duck decoy, a picture of a dead animal, A shotgun? A baseball? No. I kept this random ruler, and this I use every day. It reminds me of my dad. My dad used this. I tell stories about those things. Release yourself from the heaviness of a lot of this. When you learn how to swim in the deep end of sentimental objects, you don't have to stay there. Back up into the shallower end of the pool and start with getting your practice in asking yourself about your own surface clutter, stored clutter, and then get to the sentimental. Okay? I hope this helped. I know I was kind of on a roll, and I just looked at the phone right now, and I realized I'm supposed to start a YouTube live. So I'm going to start that right now, you guys. So I am on YouTube at Destination Decluttered, and I'm going to start it right now. What day is today? 5/15/2025, 10 a.m. Eastern. Oh, I'm such a bad typist. It's okay. YouTube live, ! People and blogs. I'm going to put it on the playlist. As of the end of this week, there will be like 700 videos on the Destination Decluttered YouTube channel. It is available to the public. It is done. And I'm going to start it right now. So if you want to continue this conversation, if you've got the time, that's interesting. It says something went wrong. Let me try it again. 5/15/2025. Destination Decluttered on YouTube. I will be doing more TikTok lives this week. Get on my mailing list and you can find out about that. YouTube live. All right, let me try this. Category, name of, playlist, done, audience, not made for kids, next thing, no redirects, next, May 15th at 10 a.m., done. Let's try it again. If not, maybe I'll just stay on something went wrong. Really weird. Okay. So I'm going to try this again. Let me start. Let me open it up. So notice these things that happen sometimes. And I'm staying right here. Yeah, see you on the other side. Don't leave. Okay. Interesting. Freckles the Menace says, do you have a podcast yet? YouTube uses too much of my data plan. Oh, interesting. Interesting. I don't. I do not. I could probably easily find a way to scrape all the convo and put it onto a podcast thing. I can see if AI can help with that. Hey, let me try this again. 5/15/2025, YouTube live. People and blogs, playlist, people are strange. When you're a stranger, it's not made for kids, though kids can tune in. Then I'm going to do this. I'm going to start it at 10:05 because that's what it says. Let's see if it works. Yeah, happy to stay here. Yeah, just stay until it says 10:02. No, something wacky is going on, you guys. Here, see, literally. Can you see this? Something went wrong. I don't know what it is. So here, this is what I'm going to do. I am going to, you do have to log off TikTok to log into YouTube. No, Linda, because I'm actually on my computer. Interesting. This tab is using consumer microphone. Here's what I'm going to do. In case that's a thing, which would be weird, but you know what? I don't know how all my technology works, is I'm going to stop this TikTok live. Check on the YouTube, but if you don't see me, come back to TikTok. I may just start up another TikTok, okay? So I will maybe see you on YouTube, but if I'm not there in a couple minutes, I'm just going to start another TikTok live, okay? We'll make this happen. I'm going to give you another hour of stuff. It just depends on what channel, okay? So here, we do this. I'm going to see you momentarily on one of my channels, all right?